So, hi everyone. My name is Johan Rahim Ali with the McGill Black Alumni Association, and today we're very grateful to have an outstanding group of panelists. So we have, I'll introduce Don Williams, President of Serious Personnel, has extensive experience in human resources and recruiting, and 20 years of sales management experience. And we also have one of the directors of the McGill Alumni Association, Joy Odman, who graduated from engineering in 2011, currently works for Allied Real Estate, the Allied Real Estate Investment Trust, as a senior manager of construction. And he also has his own consulting company called J. Odman Group. And also quite involved with the Black Executive Leadership Initiative. So Joy here is we'll talk about how it's incredibly rewarding for both himself and society to get involved. And we also have an accomplished producer, composer, and music director joining us from the US, Ricky Paget, and he's toured with stars like Madonna on 4 world tours. We also have Yendrich Prosper, graduated with a certificate in management in 2015 from McGill. He's a specialist in technical networks working at Bell, and he co-founded the Black Professionals at Bell. He's part of the engagement committee, and he's been quite active socially with his family for the last decades. And he's going to share some perspectives on employee resource groups, which are becoming increasingly prominent in Canada and the Western world. And to moderate this great panel, we have Christelle Dosa. So she used to run the McGill Black Alumni Association. So over to you, Christelle, and enjoy. Most importantly, we're lucky to have such a great group of people who are willing to share their experience with us. So thank you.
Thank you for the introduction. Thanks to everybody for joining. Sorry for the little wait you guys had in the lobby. We're glad we could let you in. I hope you guys have had an amazing week and that it continues to be. So first of all, thank you so much for the panelists that have joined us today. We really appreciate it. And I just want to confirm that Ricky, can you hear us? We want to make sure we can hear you. I know we can't see you, but 5 on 5 you're here. Okay, perfect.
You guys hear me?
Okay, so yeah, we can hear you. Okay, so just to start, I would like to ask you guys, we're talking about civil engagement, and my question to you is, what is that to you? And why did you decide to ever start? Anybody can answer. If you could each give a short, brief answer.
I'll go.
I didn't put anybody on the spot. I can answer first.
Trying to be polite.
No, guys. Act like we're at the cookout. Whoever gets the food first, you know what I mean? Just enjoy. Okay?
Well, I'll start then. So civic engagement for me is we're all part of the bigger picture, and realizing that we're part of the big picture and being able to give back. And it's not just a fancy slogan. It really means that we have a responsibility. Those of us that have something to give, whether it's time, money, whatever, we have a responsibility to give back to others and have others start off on our shoulders rather than starting from where we started from, as an example.
Yes.
Sorry, I love that answer. And I feel like that was a pretty comprehensive answer, but do you, the rest of the panelists have anything to add, or maybe a way in which it's different for you as an?
I will say that it's the way to give back, and it's always go back. How can make a difference? And we have always the impression that we need to be like the Superman of the place, but it's not the case. We need to have 1,000 million of people that help each other to bring up, so that you have those super success that happen, but you have million of little success that happen that everyone can reach their potential or can be happy, or they can go in a place that they wish to go but they don't know how to go, and that you are here to enable them to reach that place. So you kind of you follow your own path, you have your thing that you like, and from that, for me it's sport, especially soccer. So using that to bring, for example, teenager, younger adult, to bring it to the adult world by your example. We need people that they are there to give example, to give them guidance, to give them support so that they can succeed and know that they can succeed, and to be part of them, to follow them in major social, and then make sure that you say, you know what, when they do good things, they are more engaged socially than maybe when I was younger. So we see that there's hope with those younger generations. So we need to be there to support them and to give them like guidance, not what to do, but to help them to do it their own way.
I think what I
I
would
like
add
that.
to both points, because I think both are extremely valid for me as well. The other thing that I would add is also just it's a very good way of being connected to all of these communities that we're all inherently a part of. Whether it's like Yendra said, the soccer community, or whether it's the Black community, or whatever that may be, we're inherently part of all of these communities. And civic engagement is a way of continuing that and advancing that, not just for ourselves, but for the people around us and for the communities we're a part of, and help elevate them through the learned experiences that we have as individuals and as a collective, to help advance society in every way. And I know that's very aspirational, but I mean, in terms of civic engagement, a lot of times that is the goal, is really to elevate ourselves and the humanity about ourselves in different aspects.
Okay. Do you want to add to that, Ricky?
Yeah, I mean, the way I like to look at it is, we all got here through the help and sacrifice of someone before us. So I feel like it's my duty to do that for the next generation. It's my duty to give thanks to the ones who've paved the way for me. So it'd be selfish of me not to do it for the next generation, or for the community around me, or for the people around me, or even for the person who I don't know, who may be looking and being inspired by my work or anything that I've done. So that's the way I see it. I see that it's my duty for the next generation to pave, to widen the pavement in a way for them, because someone did it for us.
I love that. I really like all of the points that you brought forward, and I think an important factor is that as Black people in general, we are inherently, unfortunately, quote unquote, at the bottom of the totem pole in society, because we're living in a society and we're living in economies that are structured around or made for white men, to put it as blatantly as possible. So I feel like in environments where we are able to thrive, it's definitely important and great for us to be in the position to help others be able to get to the places we want to get. And to engage in civic engagement is one thing, but just being is also, to a certain extent, civic engagement, because a lot of people know one of my favorite rappers is J. Cole, and he has this song, and it's called No Role Models, and it's centered more on American society, but he's obviously, in the song, what he's talking about is the fact that, Black people see athletes in the Olympics, rappers, singers, and things of that nature more than they'll see others, or know that they can be a lawyer, they can be a doctor, they can be any type of professional. So I think just being whatever situation we are in that enables us to live and prospering is in one way, shape, or form civic engagement. And some of us may believe, I am also one of the believers, that it is our responsibility to give back. So I think it's great that we have you guys here to talk more about that. And could you actually individually tell us and the audience how exactly do you engage in civic engagement at the moment? And maybe how did you get to this level? Do you have a civic engagement journey? Anybody can start.
So at 18 years old, I started volunteering at the Montreal Children's Hospital, and had the best job in the world, and it was just to hold babies, rock them, because leaving a baby in a crib for too many hours without a human touch is not very good for their development. So that was my first job. I mean, that's a stress buster in itself. And through the years, during university, I actually worked at the hospital. And then after university, I stopped volunteering and I went back, I'm going to say maybe 12 years ago. Today, I am in the oncology department, also volunteering with children of all ages that are sick. And also volunteer with an association called LORAN, LORAN, which is an organization that sponsors students, many of which go to McGill. And my job is to mentor those students during their university. I've been doing that since 2014. And I also volunteer at a group home for young women, and also there to provide leadership. And I'm working with Joey. I'll let Joey explain to you our next venture. So what I want to do is listen and give. You know, I don't have a skill like play music or anything like that, which is a great skill, especially when you're entertaining children. But with children, it's really about listening. It's playing, getting down on the floor and getting dirty with them, and distracting them from their illness. And with the young ladies at the group home, it's more about listening, as well as giving advice, leadership advice at their level. So that's what I do. I still do that, and I'll probably always give back no matter what. And maybe one day when I retire, I'll do more hours doing those kinds of things.
That is great. Who would like to go next?
I can go. So right now, as kind of was alluded to earlier, I am on the McGill Alumni Association board. I also volunteer through McGill through different avenues, namely and most recently with the Black Alumni Association's mentorship program, which I'm very excited about the launch of that earlier this year. Also with what's called a Prestige Scholarship and another student mentorship program through McGill. I also volunteer for l'Ordre des Ingénieurs du Québec to provide mentorship for students at both the CEGEP and university level in terms of helping them figure out where they want to go with their careers. I volunteer with the CSDM in a similar fashion to provide at-risk youth opportunities to find their career path, whether that be through a university route or another route. I volunteer with Le Camp, which is a cancer organization. And there's also various different forms of civic engagements that I've been involved with in the past that have kind of come and gone. The most notables of which, one of it was the ACES football program, which was for underprivileged youth. For a long time, there was what was called the Kilimanjaro Initiative, which was put in place to help people in different areas of Africa to teach them how to build and repair bicycles, because it's a very common mode of transportation. And most recently, as Dawn has alluded to earlier, herself and three other people and me have started what we like to call the Black Executive Leadership Initiative, which helps, or whose intention and vision is to increase the presence of Black people in both leadership, executive, and board member roles in corporate Montreal to start, but eventually the corporate world at large, and help people facilitate people navigating through the ranks of companies dealing with, particular issues that are typical to Black individuals that other people may not be able to mentor and help people through. So yeah, those are kind of the things right now that I'm on.
Very, very interesting. Again, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I can go next. When I listen, I say I feel very shy because I feel so little, because it's like it's wow, that's wonderful. I really involved in I can say 3 different sectors. So there's the first at work for the Black professional at Bell. So that is one of the things. I'm very proud of that group and what we have done so far. I'm involved with also, like, you might see my last name is Prosper, and I have like a brother that is very popular that called Will Prosper. So to be in with Woodstock and the different event that they do, it's like they're not gonna see me. So the point is like it's to be there to support him, whatever the way that I can support him. So, and different times, sometimes it's just to receive people. Sometimes they collect money, to count the money, to do all those different tasks that doesn't need the recognition. It just need to support because it's the right thing to do. So that is what I'm doing a lot with to supporting my brother to his different initiative that he's doing, because the work that he do it's very important. I need to be there for that. And the third one is really through soccer. So it's really like the coaching. So it's really coach a different level from the teenager to now. I'm blessed. I'm very happy because I'm the head coach of Cégep of Vieux-Montréal for the men program. So what is great with that is like it gives me the chance to bring some kid that they finished the secondary 5, like especially sometimes Black kids that they say, oh, I'm going to do a professional course. What you would love to do in life, or you would love to become a gym teacher. Okay, you go to university, come to the Cégep, we're gonna help you, support you, and then help you to go then to university to show you that there's a path that is possible and to make you believe in that. And at the same time, you play soccer, what you love, in really in competitive way at the same time. So it's really like to be able to do that through the soccer coaching at different level. So I will say that is really the big 3 thing that I'm really involved.
I don't know why you felt shy, like if you're not doing anything, because you just mentioned like 3 really big things.
Yeah.
And also, I think something we need to not underrate or not put value on is all the background work, because it's all nice and dandy to be doing all of these things. For example, the amazing, powerful work your brother is doing, but without his team, he wouldn't be where he is. You know what I mean? So don't act like that's nothing. Put some respect on your name, you know? So that's really great. Last but not least, are you going to just, supposedly make all of us look better? What's about to happen? We're waiting, drum roll, drum roll. Go ahead.
Myself?
Did you hear us?
Yeah, you're
Yes,
talking to me?
please.
Yeah. Well, I'm the one that's going to be shy here. I've been living in LA for most of my adult life, and most of my time here I've been on tour. So whenever I'm off tour, I try to do some volunteer work. And one of the most memorable work that I've done is actually fly to Haiti to go help out the kids. Shawn Penn, I don't know if you guys know the actor Shawn Penn. He started a foundation in Haiti, an NGO in Haiti back in 2010 when the big earthquake happened. And through that reconstruction, he actually built schools. And with those schools, there was actually new music classes that are being offered for the kids after school.
Nice.
And that organization flew my wife and I over to Haiti for a week and go work with the kids down there. And the beauty about volunteering and giving back is that you think you're doing it for the kids, which you definitely are, but it is so self-gratifying at the same time. Like, you wouldn't believe how much the kids, just how much you're learning from the experience, learning from the kids, and how much you're growing as a person as well. That experience was amazing. We worked with all types of kids, from grade 1 to grade 6. Some of them had mental disabilities, and their spirits were just amazing. Whenever we'd walk into the room, work with them on it, with instruments, with musical instruments, and most of these kids had, they're survivors of the earthquake. Some of them don't even have their parents anymore; they're dead. But they were able to express a lot of emotions and feelings that were pent up through their instruments, through music. So at the end of that week, the purpose of us was to go there, work with the kids, and there was a concert for Mother's Day at the end of the week. And just to see those kids on stage, I mean, I had a couple of tears. It was just an amazing emotional feeling to be able to give back, especially into my native country. So yeah, that's the most memorable opportunity that I've had. This last year, you asked if we were able to do anything this last year. Obviously, with the pandemic, we all have to be careful. But in the last couple of months, again, through Shawn Penn's NGO, they were doing a massive testing at the Dodger Stadium, and they actually asked us if we wanted to perform. Our band wanted to perform while the people were waiting, in their cars, get tested. So that was, again, through music, giving back, and the messages that we got from the people after the concert. We saw all the messages that people were sending us, because we had done a little poster, and with our social media information, and the beautiful messages that we were getting from people, like, you guys made a very stressful situation so pleasant with the music. It's so great to hear music again. Thank you for volunteering and donating your time. So that's those are just a couple of examples of things I was able to do through music and through giving back, through my talent. And sometimes as musicians, we think, like, we don't really give value to what we do in terms of music. Like, it's not really tangible, but I'm slowly realizing that that is not the case. Music is really, really important to lifting somebody's spirits.
Ricky, I can just tell you the music program at the hospital is very popular and very well appreciated.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I think you bring up a very important and necessary conversation, because everybody has been talking about the work they've been doing on a regular basis for people just living their regular lives, but it's really important to realize that in times of crisis, people need help too, right? And things go wild, there'll be donate your money, or this person needs help, free X, Y, Z, and that's all great, and those are amazing contributions. But to be able to actually have somebody make music with a star, because you are a star, like you toured with Madonna, etc. You have a lot of accolades, you're a star. It's a lot, and it's memorable to you because of how it made you feel, but it must have made them feel great as well. And it's important for us to realize that in these times of distress and need, there are also ways in which we can perform civic engagement on a one per time basis. Or for example, I have a friend who was helping people serving like soup kitchens or anything like that. So in reality, it's really hard to say one is better or one is less than the other, because they all are very important. So kudos to all of you for the work you do. And thank you, because it's really important, and it's great that you guys are doing it. So thank you. So what I would like to ask is, you guys are involved in a lot of things. You've been involved in a lot of things, and your involvement has evolved throughout the years. is there a particular reason for this? And also, when you're going into things and changing, moving in and out of things, are there anything in particular that you choose to verify to make sure that it aligns with you, or is there really like a reason behind it? So, Rich, for example, you were talking about the fact that you're coaching with the football. Is that something that you went ahead and did because you have that benefit of this exercise and the sports, and also you enjoy sports? Why did you choose sports and not go and help with a music class, for example?
Yeah, music totally not my part. Although that was in another live DJ, but that is another story. But
Nice.
as for soccer, I play since I'm young. I'm still playing. So, but coaching, it's like it's in a certain way. It was a way for me to give in back, to be involved in the competition, to be able to give back to how to play. But there's all the human aspect, is all what the people that you meet. I meet so many people that I play when I was younger. It's like a lot of like I said to my player at CEGEP, is like there's a lot that is going to become your coworker later. You're going to call him, and that's maybe is the one that is going to give you a job, or is the one that is, or you're going to help him to find a job, and you're going to have the references. Like maybe you're going to need someone to do some specific work, start a business, and it's going to be the one that is going to be out there. You're going to be friend for life, or you're going to be some all tied together. So that is where that I feel that is very important. To be there. So for soccer, it's like I think when I got the opportunity for the CEGEP Civic Montréal, it's like something I could not refuse. I was coaching like for several years at the Parc Extension. I had a great team, a great player. I have a kid that I see them grow, that even go to they are close to knocking to the professional rank. Some they go to CEGEP. They're doing different things. So it's to see them grow, to take them like where they are, and then to see them where they're going, and then to be a part of it, then to help them to grow. That is the main thing. But like you say, it's important that is something that is related to your core. So what, like for example, I will take at Bell, we had no organization for the Black. So that was important that we started, and it was important that we get together and that we do it organically, and it's not done as by the company, but they come from us. And that would make a huge difference in everything, especially with what happened with George Floyd. And every time that we have the Black History Month, or we want to do certain event, the message that we want to convey is not just to do a celebration or just to say something, but we want to bring something because it's part of our core mission that we give us. So, and that we all contribute, and we all know that is very important. It's like we might be in each of our field very successful, but then how that we help the other one, and how that we grow the mind that, yes, that's true. A lot of people that will say, yes, doctor, lawyer, engineer, but there are so many things. Me, I've worked all my life in IT. I'm just thinking of my wife that she's working IT, and when there's people from his family, when they say where you work in IT, they don't understand where she work at all. But she's extremely successful in what she's doing, and she's doing very well for a huge company. So for that, is like we need to broaden the mind for the kid to say there is many opportunity in several places, and that is where that part of our mandate that we want to do, especially at the group at Bell.
Just if I could ask the other panelists to basically please continue on and just or rather answer or speak to what exactly you look into when you are deciding to start a new civic engagement. So Dawn, for example, you discussed that you had started at the Children's Hospital when you were 17. Did that come naturally, or what exactly prompted you to do that?
You know what? I'm not exactly sure why I wanted to do that, but I I know I wanted to do something with children. And when they said, "Well, would you like to cradle children, rock children to sleep?" I said, "That's easy." So did that, and it has evolved over all of these years, and now I'm dealing with more than just babies. Um, and I didn't. What I wanted to do was do something where I would make some sort of a difference, and the difference I felt I made was really just having fun with the kids and helping them forget, especially the older children, helping them forget that they're hospitalized and helping them forget that they're sick. And I actually had I do deal a lot with parents. The parents talk to me a lot too. Kids sleeping, and the parents don't have another adult around sometimes. It's only the nurses and doctors, and they're not there to chat. So sometimes I'm just listening. I just listen to the parents as well too. But in terms of it just evolved. I really liked it, and then continued doing that, and still do that today. There's no specific reason why that.
Okay, and then when it comes to the other work that you do, which appears to be more of the proactive decision that you made,
Yes.
why do you feel the need to do the things that you do? And is there something that motivates you in particular?
Well, I think that I see a lot of people. I'm in recruitment, and part of what I do is give advice to people. And sometimes I give advice to people, and I just give it to them because they have no one else in their entourage that gives them advice. So that's a little bit of leadership. So I decided when I was asked to do that, someone asked me to do that. I thought, okay, that's something I can help them with at their level. So they're 16 and 17-year-old girls, and how do I help them sort of make life decisions, help them manage their environment as non-traditional as it is. So my role is to listen, and at the hospital, it's listening as well too. So it's the same skills done differently, and how that relates back to my 9-to-5 job is that my as a recruiter, I have to listen. So it's the same skills, listening and giving advice at times. And so it works out really well. It's the same type of thing. And what it does for me in my 9-to-5 job is that, they say everyone has their journey that they're on. Yes, even the person sitting in front of you interviewing for that job, there's other things going on in their personal life that you may not be aware of. So just like I've met parents who are dealing with their children who have cancer, and then next thing you know, a couple of years later, there's the candidate walking in the door. That same person, so it
Really?
Yeah, twice it happened. Twice.
Wow.
So it's like, oh my goodness, I know you. So, so we have something else to talk about other than just interviewing them, So, that is, so the two worlds meet, and being able to be empathetic is part of civic engagement.
Yeah, that's really amazing. I wonder if you've crossed paths with some of those babies you were rocking. Probably they just changed a little bit.
I always wonder where these kids are today. I don't know.
Maybe one of them is one of the 500 people watching us right now. You never know. And then when it comes to initiatives that you are literally growing from the ground up, Dawn, you're working with Joey on this, so either one of you, please feel free to answer. How did you guys come to the decision that this is a problem, we need to come together, and we need to make a change?
I'll let you go, Joey.
Okay. So and I'll take a very long-winded way to answer your question. I think when it comes to a lot of civic engagement and figuring out where you want to concentrate your time, it really is a journey that you kind of go through in life, right? I think, like Dawn said, she started off with something that she thought was going to be interesting to her. Yendrich, similar. He's like, hey, I have this talent, and I kind of followed through. For me, it was the same thing. Like, I started off in school, like tutoring. Just, found that. And as I worked through life, different things happen and different thing changes that made me say, okay, all the stuff that I started doing with McGill was really because I got that call when I graduated, and they're like, hey, would you be willing to give money to McGill? And I was like, I don't have any money yet, but I can give you my time. So that's how I started volunteering with McGill. And then, I had a brother who passed away from brain cancer. And then that was like, oh, I now, want to spend some time helping other people that have gone through that. And as these things have gone on through my life, kind of like Dawn said before, you go through a journey. And that journey kind of impacts where you want to concentrate your free time. Because civic engagement really is, how do you fill your free time with other things? And I think one of the things that Don and myself and the other members that put together this initiative really kind of saw was, I mean, two things. Like, let's be honest, I think the circumstances surrounding George Floyd's death was really a tipping point for a lot of people. I think it woke up a lot of things that many of us had suppressed for years and years. And it opened up a conversation that, although it has been cracked before, like the door has been slightly open, I think this was one of the first times that it was completely open to really have honest discussions, because we're in the middle of a pandemic and there was the time to talk about it. And I think in doing that, a lot of people realized that a lot of the things that we took for granted, and a lot of the things that we kind of moved to the side as this is just the way things are, became, no, this is not good enough. This is not enough in terms of representation. This is not enough in terms of an answer to gun violence. This is not enough in terms of anti-Asian hate. This is not enough in terms of the Me Too movement. This is just not enough. And saying that all of this can just get pushed to the side is no longer good enough. And I think as individuals, and Don, I'm going to include you in this, we also said, I think enough is enough. And we operate in circles, in corporate circles. You know, Don is in recruitment. I work in commercial real estate, which is arguably the most white male dominated industry there is. And both ourselves and the rest of the other team members who work in banking, in project management, and also in commercial real estate, we're like, no, this it's not normal that in Montreal there are no Black people on any commercial boards. It's not normal that the lack of representation is so high compared to the diversity that exists in the population. And if not us, who else? And it was as simple as that, of taking a step back and asking a question of, hey, if we're at this perfect crossroad and this perfect opportunity where people will listen to what we have to say, we have our voices, we have a knowledge base, we have the connections, why not us, why not now? And I think we took that, put together a group of people, started working through the different ideas and trying to say, hey, how can we make this happen? And knowing that this is a process, right? It's not from one day to the next that you put together an organization, you put a CEO and say, hey, we've figured it out, we've done it. It's a process that we're going through right now, that we're in, arguably its infancy, trying to figure out a pilot project, trying to figure out what our structures are. But our vision and our goal is clear. And that vision and goal is born out of the journey that we've gone through from the beginning of our lives up until now, and really saying, hey, we need to do something about this. And I think a lot of civic engagement really is about that. It's about, hey, where is there a need that can be fulfilled? Where is there knowledge that is lacking? Where is there time and effort that needs to be put in by people to be able to do that? And whatever your values and your interests are, that's where you sometimes spend the time. And like I said, that varies throughout your life.
Fair enough. That makes a lot of sense. And Rike, we discussed the fact that your civic engagement has been more at times of crisis. And I know you've mentioned a few times Shawn Penn's foundation or non-for-profit charity. My question is, in that case, I can assume that maybe you have a relationship there and you were contacted to do this. Let's say some random person is to contact you now and they don't have, a really strong name like Shawn Penn behind it. What do you think are like the type of attributes or characteristics you would check in order to validate that is the type of engagement, or those are the type of people, organizations that you'd want to interact with and work with?
Well, in the case of Shawn Penn, I'm the one who actually reached out to them because I saw what, obviously back in 2010, the earthquake and everything that was going on around it made news every day. If you remember, Anderson Cooper was in Haiti for like at least a couple of weeks, and every night almost every night you saw Shawn Penn there. So when I saw, I think it was in 2015 I went. So when I saw 2017. So when I saw all the posts, all the work that he was still doing, that's when I actually reached out to the organization, and I let them know that I'd love to be involved. So to answer your question, first and foremost, I have to believe in their mission. I have to believe in what they're doing, and I think for anyone who's seeking to be part of some kind of volunteer civic engagement, is does their mission align with what your beliefs are? So that's the first and foremost thing. And obviously you want to be you want to be smart about the organization. You want to be smart about choosing that organization, knowing their history, because not every not every single organization is kosher. If you follow the money, sometimes you find out some stuff that's that's not very kosher. So you want to watch out about on that aspect. But yeah, I mean, if it feels good to you, if you really appreciate the work that the organization is doing, and it's something that you believe in, you believe strongly, that you're willing to wake up in the morning at 6, 7 in the morning to go donate your time, type of thing. Yeah, I say go for it.
Nice. Those are really great and important points. I think earlier, Yenrich or Don, one of you had mentioned the fact that something that's very important as well as civic engagement is what you don't realize is that, I think it was Yenrich, I think he was saying somebody who you're playing with could be somebody who can give you an opportunity or you can get an opportunity from. I think that's a really great point. It's important to even discuss that more, because one way or another, whether your intentions are good, which we're hoping they are, when you are in a situation where you are performing civic engagement, it is a networking opportunity. And it is an opportunity that will give you access to people that you will work with, because you will not be the only volunteer there, and you will be working in association with further people, and you never know what exactly that can do for you. So I think that's also an added benefit that there is for self when engaging in these type of activities. An example of my personal experience is that when I was the president of the McGill Black Alumni Association, by being involved, we obviously got to interact with a lot more of the members of the other alumni associations, but especially the official McGill Alumni Association. So the president at that point was Bob Babinski, who is an amazing man, and he supported us from the beginning like no other leader in the whole McGill organization has supported us. He was at our very first event. He came continuously, and anything he could do to help, he was there. And it was through being at, I think, the first McGill 24 events with him that I was at a point in my career where I wanted to make a career shift. And he literally would tell everybody, hi, this is Christelle, and she wants to work into supply chain. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's great. Can I take him everywhere? Like, it was amazing. But on top of that, what happened later is that there's two lessons from that, because by doing that, although those direct encounters didn't lead to me getting a job or any sort of mentor or anything, it also let me realize kind of like, what other areas people are in. It's like, oh, I'm not in supply chain, but I do X, Y, and Z, etc. But he then went the extra mile to talk about me to his family, and he had a niece that worked in a pharmaceutical company in supply chain, and I met with her for coffee. She was hiring for a job. They didn't have any money to hire, but she kept me in mind. A couple months later, she called me back, and I interviewed with her boss, and I got the job. And that's literally how I did my career shift from project management and event planning to supply chain. If I had not started the McGill Black Alumni Association and I had not gone to those events to make sure that we had more visibility, that would have never happened. At least it wouldn't have happened that way. So I think it's also very important to see that no matter what you go and you do, hopefully for the good of the people, but on top of it, you get extra benefit. And I think it goes a lot to say, when you do good things, you get good things. So that I think is also a really important, great factor that can somehow come out of these type of things. So we got a wonderful question from the audience, and please, audience, I want you guys to know that at any time you can send messages through with questions that we'll be able to incorporate into the discussion. So a great question that came in, it said, can the panelists, or it says rather, can the panelists talk a little bit more about some of the benefits of civic engagement? So I think we've really discussed about, or you guys have really put forward the fact that you get the added benefit and joy of being able to be in a position to help and everything that comes with that. There's also the added aspect of you can gain networks and just different people that, you know, like Yenrich discussed, you could end up working with or working for, giving an opportunity to, you could get a job. Do you guys see any other benefits that maybe we haven't discussed that would be great to put forward by any chance?
Yes, maybe I can just start with that. And I think one of the greatest benefit that you have, beside that, the self that you're giving out, and you have to do it like I give without expecting to receive anything. So that is the first thing. But the second thing is like you want to develop new skills. So the best way to develop new skills sometimes is to give it, like say not for free, but you give it and you give you a chance to learn something. So through, as strange as can be, but through the soccer, through the different social engagement that I've learned the project management, managing budget. Um, I was a leader for 10 years. So one of the things that makes sure to keep my leader skills always alive is through coaching. So I remember like I had a conversation, a one-on-one to review for the year, and the guys come to me and he asked me, oh, I want to become a team leader. I asked him what you have done for it. Nothing, but I would love to have the opportunity. I think from that, what you need to do is like, do you do some coaching? Maybe you can be involved, and then you can have the opportunity to do some leadership things, like take ownership of different things. So to go from point A to point B, you don't know how you're going to get to point B, but you have to get to point B, and then you develop all the skills that you have to go to getting there, because you have to do it yourself. You're not going to have like 25% that's going to work together to reach that point. So it gives you the chance to do yourself, to develop those skills or to keep those skills. So that is a very great opportunity that you have via the civic engagement to be able to do that. So that is where I see that you want to do leadership, you want to do something, give your time, and you can have the opportunity to do it and to showcase. And then maybe you can have some opportunity, maybe you're not gonna have, but at least you're gonna develop that skill, and you will know what is more important, do you like it or not?
I think that's a really great point, and I think sometimes people have a difficulty with that because they'll see a cause they want to get involved with, but let's say, for example, the McGill Black Alumni Association that is currently looking for new members. If you know, you see that and you go on the list, when all the roles that you see don't particularly pertain to the skill that you want to get, or they don't particularly interest you, I think a lot of times you can either reach out, because it's not because you see something on paper that means that's all that exists, but there's all the factor that you can go in. For example, let's say you want project leadership skills, but you are a finance person, go in and be the VP finance. But within that opportunity, you can then say, I want to also get project management skills. So I think what you're saying is very important, in that when you want something, you can find different and creative ways to go and get it. And it's not because you have one particular title. I think we can all testament to the fact that you can be in charge of finance, project management, accounting, and then you're going to find yourself doing marketing and calling for and doing sales. And hi, can you really come to this event? It's going to be great, even though you never thought you could or would. So I think you bring up a very good point. And to follow up or to continue on that, Don, being that sales and HR are your specialization, do you see ways in which civic engagement puts profiles forward and gives them maybe more of an opportunity to actually get an interview, for example?
Absolutely. So what Henry just said, I fully agree with. Because when I'm interviewing someone who is junior and has no work experience on their resume other than their student job, I need to talk about something for an hour, right? So if you tell me that you were a soccer coach or you were the captain of the baseball of the hockey team and those kinds of things, this is something to talk about. There are some very young people that have had a lot of leadership experience in their part-time jobs working at McDonald's. I say McDonald's because that was my first job. McDonald's or any other job like that. For instance, those painting companies where they go and paint people's houses. One of the best part-time jobs that we see on people's resumes, when we meet people that have done that for 2 years, 3 years, we love those candidates. So definitely civic engagement is, first of all, it's a topic of conversation when you have very little work experience, and it lets me see another part of their personality. And the other thing is, you asked about what else does civic engagement give? I think it gives you humility. Absolutely, it makes you humble, because I'm used to being in charge. But when I'm doing my volunteer work, I am not in charge. You know what? It's that kid who says, come play with me, or I don't want to play with you because I'm not feeling well. And I've got to just humbly say, no problem, I'll go to another child. Or, but you know what? It shows you humility. It's, I don't decide, the kid decides. So that's what, so no matter, they don't care about your title, they don't care about your education, their needs are you have to adapt to their needs. I'm sure when you're coaching those kids in soccer and somebody's having a bad day, you have to deal with that. You have to deal with those things. So it gives you humility, in my opinion.
I love that. Does anybody feel like there's something else maybe that your civic engagement has changed for you? Because Dawn mentions a great thing about humility. Are there other factors, or maybe has it changed your worldview or your perspective on anything in particular? Was there maybe you met somebody that you would have never encountered? Or, Rike, if I think about, I love that you're here, because I think it's very unfortunate we have these type of conversations and we keep it to quote unquote professionals being, white collar, and not taking into consideration blue collar professionals, and also creatives. So in your case, for example, did the civic engagement you partake in, for example, add or give you the opportunity to have a different perspective on anything in particular?
Maybe it has, and I subconsciously, adapted it, or whatever the case may be. I've always, like Don said, it does humble you. And that's what sometimes I actually go seek that, just to be reminded, sometimes it's good to be reminded, get off your high horse. You have all these, blessings and opportunities. It's time to give it back. It's time to give back. It's time, karma is real. Karma is real. And my mom always said, when I was growing up, I was always, I know we're talking about civic engagement, but, as, when I was younger growing up, I was always donating money. And my mom was like, you know why you have all these blessings coming to you? It's because you're always giving. To me, I thought I was just getting blessings because, I was just blessed. But my mom also pointed out that I also gave a lot, and I continue to give a lot. So I've, like I said, when you think that you're doing it for someone else, in return, it's really self-fulfilling when you do it. I would advise anybody who has the opportunity to give back to the community, to whomever. It's really self-fulfilling at the same time. You really feel good at the end of the day when you get back home and you said, I contributed to society today.
I was just about to add, is like something we don't see, and that as a parent, because I am parent, I have kids, it's like when you're doing yourself, and sometimes the kids, they will not be involved. But I remember my dad was coaching. I remember my dad was involved in political organization for the dictatorship that happening in Haiti. I remember that my parents, they were involved with Parti Québécois when they were at the beginning, and they want to get the first vote for independence. they were understanding that the process that were there. So as a parent, your action might reach the kid in a way that you don't understand, and that will become normal for them to do it. So that is a point that as a parent to always keep in your mind.
So do you
Yeah.
mean that your kids are able to follow by example because they see you do it?
I think that have an impact, because when I look for me and my brother, and I see like that's true. My brother is very involved, but I see my younger brother is the same thing. He's working with the government, but is involved and is involved also in the black community inside the government to try to form that black leadership also inside, because there is not a lot of black leader in the federal government, but he tried to do so, and that they come together, the different black leader that to get those positions so that they get the right representation. So I think that when I was younger, I did not see it, and I don't foresee that was really important for that. But more and more I grow, for me it came in my mind like it was normal. So it's all those little habits that as a parent that we can give to the kids, that we just by doing, it's like the best way to, we all know it's like the best leadership is by example, is by doing it. It's like what you say you're doing it. So when you're doing it, it's like you give the chance of your kid, at least they know the path. Are they gonna all follow? No, but at least you give them the chance to know.
I think that's really great. If I'm sorry. Okay. If we are to continue and talk about civic engagement and the ways in which we can use our current skills or skills that we would like to obtain, I think we really spoke on that a lot. But when we're coming from a more of a creative lens. So Rike, I know you're a creative, you're an artist, so you can go and you can volunteer and do civic engagement through your music. For maybe other creatives that maybe aren't necessarily musicians, maybe they're artists, maybe they have any other type of creative creativity within them, how would you recommend that they can engage in civic engagement?
I think, like I said before, just find a cause that you believe in. Find something, you're an app away from finding a cause that you believe in. I'm sure we all follow, through hashtags and algorithms, things pop up on our Facebook feeds, on our Instagram feeds, and I'm sure there's organizations that you see, that you follow, and that you maybe didn't think of. Oh, they don't need my help. You don't think that that you can contribute to them. But you never know. You never know what kind of service that you may bring, what kind of asset that you may bring to these organizations, to these companies, or to people, just to people in general. So I don't think it's that hard, nowadays to find certain organizations or companies or people or groups that you can relate to, and just send them an email. Let them know what you're doing, what you like to, how you think you can contribute, or if you don't know how you can contribute, ask them, what do you need? How can I be of service? And I'm sure you can come up with some kind of agreement, some kind of position where you can help out.
Okay, sounds really good. Can you guys speak on the way in which civic engagement has helped you personally, or just like one particular example of how it's helped you in a concrete way, whether it be career, whether it be personally? And if you don't want to use a personal example, could you maybe use a personal example of somebody else that you have witnessed throughout your civic engagements, past and present? If one of you has.
Yeah, I can go through. So I think there's a lot of different ways. Number one is the people that I've been lucky enough to meet, Christelle, you being one of them, Dawn as well. You know, Christelle, you spoke about Bob. I've been lucky enough to be on the board with Bob as well. And you know, Kay, who is behind the scenes as well. A lot of, you know, people that I've met. I think one thing that I can speak to on civic engagement where it's helped me professionally, similar to you, Christelle, where, you know, I was part of an organization at the time that looked at, you know, hybrid electric vehicles and these kind of volunteer things through McGill. And because essentially I had an office beside someone else, because of this call it civic engagement, he was the first person to help me get my first job. So just because I was in proximity to him when I graduated and I started reaching out to people, he was like, oh yeah, like I know Joey, like I seen him kind of working around and he put in a good word for me with the company at the time. That's how I got my first job. And then on another level, I think personally, just in terms of working through and dealing with things, you know, being able to speak to and be put in, you know, situations kind of like Dawn said before with humility, with empathy and things like that, and kind of taking a step back from a lot of the problems that I felt that I had day to day and putting myself in other people's shoes definitely helped me work through a lot of problems that I had, very honestly. And I think a lot, even, you know, when we were talking about before on some of the George Floyd stuff, you know, going through a lot of these different types of civic engagement, whether it's just connecting with people, talking to people, or whatever, it'll probably blow your mind the amount of things that it'll change within you, whether it be your values, whether it be the way that you see the world, whether it be your understanding of even just, you know, the range and difficulty of your own problems. So I think a lot of the stuff that I did, especially when it comes to the stuff related to cancer, with my brother's death, was a coping mechanism that helped me quite a bit to kind of focus my attention on something that was a way of working through my problems.
That's great. And thank you for being vulnerable enough to like discuss that with us, and sorry for your loss, of course. And I think it's really great that you were able to try to do some good out of a bad situation that then ended up doing good for you. So that's really great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yendrik, do you want to go next and give a particular example? I know you referred to in the football. I don't know if that was a specific example you were talking about, but just vaguely.
But I have different thing, and I will go to. I was just thinking of something. It's like for almost like 2-3 years ago, I had the chance to participate, to volunteer my time to participate a radio show on Radio Centre-Ville. That was about financial literacy in French. So it was called Capitaliser. And one of the things, the subject is something that was very passionating for me, and it still is. It was cryptocurrency. And I had the chance to really have like conversation about, to educate people about, okay, what is the Bitcoin in all the environment and what it is and how it's deal and the impact with the money, because one of my favorite subject is economic. And I had the chance to meet someone like Ruben Santoine that is very good about the economy, that is working for an investment firm. And the exchange that I have with him was like great, like to meet different people. So one of the things that the civic engagement that they give for me, it's to meet people from all range of the society. So I have all the spectrum and almost all the different origin. So that is from white to Arabic to black to Asian to the lawyer to the VP to the one that do installation to the janitor to everyone. You speak with different one. So that is going back to be very humble and to meet different people and to really know the space that you live around, and that to say, you know what, how that you can help or how you can be involved, and I'll just have to have that connection so that you have a very broad range of different kind of people that you know. So that's, for me, that is the enrichment mess of knowing like so many different people from different spectrum of life.
I love that. That's great. Ricky, do you want to give us some input before we go to Don?
I think everyone pretty much covered it. You know,
just to go back on the question, it was, do you have a specific example with regards to how it has helped you or helped somebody that you have been a testament to? Civic engagement in general.
yeah, I think it goes back to the answer that I gave before, which is, you know, fulfilling. It's really self-fulfilling. It's something that you probably wouldn't think about, you know, when you first started, but you slowly realize how much self-fulfilling it is to actually give back to someone else, and the more you feel like that, the more you actually want to do it. It actually becomes kind of a drug. You're like, okay, I want that feeling again. It feels so good. It feels so good to give back. So yeah, you know, obviously that's what we're all here. Definitely we're encouraging you know, McGill students and the alumni to seek civic engagement. And I also want to give a huge shout out to the mentorship program, the Black Association Alumni Mentorship Program. I think it's phenomenal that we're finally able to, you know, for myself anyways, to actually give back to the school. I know as a Black kid, when I was at the school, I kind of felt lost very often, you know what I'm saying? Especially in the music department where there wasn't a lot of Black people. So I kind of had to go outside of, you know, I had to walk around campus to go see, hey, is anybody else here? Any other Black friends I can make here? So, and sometimes it was a horrible feeling, and so I kind of understand what some of these kids are going through now. The one that I'm mentoring is actually from the islands, from the Bahamas, and he's never gone to school with any white person in it. So for him, you know, being in Montreal is like, wow. So it's cool. I mean, we have a great relationship. You know, me, you know, having that island background as well. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I grew up in Montreal, but my parents always made it a point to bring us to Haiti growing up. So yeah, shout out to everyone that's behind that mentorship program, and I hope it continues past this year because it's very essential.
Yes, I have to give a shout out again. Marilyn Ahum is the person that literally grew that from an egg and a sperm into a full baby. And we're
Nice.
definitely putting things into place in order to ensure that it lasts beyond any of our days. So thank you for that. We appreciate the love.
I just want to second that because it is very true, and everything that Ruke said was spot on. I think you guys have done a great job with the mentorship program, and it was definitely something that was needed, but that nobody really before that had ever kind of thought of that it was needed. So it's good job, well done.
Yeah.
Thank you. Dawn, how about you with regards to your particular career and life?
I would definitely, when I talked about humility, that's definitely something that I have learned more of and practiced more of. I would also say that a little bit off topic, but everybody has a skill. Everybody has something that they're good at. We tend to look at people that have a skill that we can visibly see and think, I don't have that. What do I have? I can't sing. I can't, there's a guy at the hospital, one of the volunteers at the hospital, young man, he does origami. Do you know how popular he is when he comes to see the kids? I'm sure he never thought he had something, but he's a volunteer like me. And then one day he said, "Well, I know origami." He taught a kid. Next thing you know, he's doing workshops for the kids. Very popular workshop. So everybody has a skill, and if you look long enough, you'll find that you have the skill. We all have something to offer, and no skill is too small because you put them all together, and your skill marries with my skill and marries with Joey's skill, and we make something really big and wonderful. So we can't downplay what we have to offer. If everybody gave an hour a month of their time, this would be just an amazing place to live. Amazing. So everybody has something to give. That's really, really I really believe that. And that I learn from my job. Because sometimes we sit down to do an interview and within 5 minutes you don't like the person in front of you. It's the truth. It happens. But you have to say to yourself, this is a human being that took their time to interview, and they have a skill. Maybe it's not what I need right now, but they do have a skill. And my job in that hour is to find out what that skill is. The same thing with volunteering and civic duty. Everyone has something they can give.
I love that. I think that's amazing. I love that. I literally wrote that down. No skill is too small. Yeah, I love that. I have a question for you
You guys
guys.
can't see me, but I'm snapping my fingers to that.
Hey, yes, do it. Leave your mic on. We can hear that. That's good. What do you? Okay, when I graduated, so when I was at McGill, I was involved with McGill's. I was a president of McGill's African Student Society. I was also on BSN at a certain point. And when I graduated and I was looking for a job in corporate world, Canada, Europe, America, etc., I was scared to put Black Students Network. I literally put BSN. I was like, I'm scared. I don't want them to not want me because I was, I didn't want them to think I was too Wakanda forever, Black Panther. That was legit how I felt, right? Now I am like Wakanda forever, Black Panther forever. I'm like Black professional. I help you with Black this, Black. I put Black everywhere because if you don't want Black, I don't want you. You know. So,
Exactly.
what would you guys' advice be for people who may be in my position or just in general are scared to kind of like put too much that could be seen as controversial? Because
I think I'll jump on this one because I know Chriselle, you had approached me at a specific time for the Black Alumni Association, this and that, and I was so I completely understand what you're talking about and where you're coming from, but I think to Don's point before, like when I look at a CV or when I look at someone to hire or whatever, the inherent value that is placed, and not just on myself, like my colleagues that hire people as well, the inherent value that is placed on how do you choose to spend your time beyond what you did in school, way more than anybody ever thinks. I have never cared to look at someone's grades. If you put your grades on a CV, I do not care.
Never look.
Never. McGill doesn't want to hear this, but like your grade when you apply for a job,
nobody cares.
What really matters is
I can hear all the books burning right now as we speak.
I know. This is okay.
No, but what really matters is what type of human being are you, and having strong convictions, whether that's aligned or not with someone's worldview. The fact that you have spent time doing it, that you've managed a job, extracurricular, school, this and that puts you to the top of the pile no matter what. And if it doesn't, you probably don't want to work there. Because if they're not valuing the fact that you're a well-rounded human being, it's probably not going to align with a person that is a well-rounded human being that is spending their time doing all these other things. So you should never be, you know, it sounds very cliche, but you should never be ashamed of who you are and how you've spent your time. So if you put value on the time that you spend, whether it be volunteering or whatever, that should absolutely be something that you can talk about, that you can put on your CV, and it will help you more times than not.
I love that.
And a little secret I'm going to tell you. Most people, they're not that great at interviewing. So you got to give them you got to give them some bits and pieces on your resume that they can ask you questions about, because they're not that great. So if you put that stuff in and they don't know what to ask you, and they look at your resume and say, "Oh, tell me about this," you start a conversation. But I 100% with Joey, 100%.
Okay, I love that. Okay,
If you don't mind, Christelle.
Yes, please, of course.
Just to go back to your question, because you were talking about kind of affirming your blackness, and you know, some people being a little bit reticent of doing that. I kind of want to address also the flip side of that for people of mixed race who are afraid of affirming their blackness because they think they're not black enough, or they're told they're not black enough. That's something that I've even seen lately. You know, well, just a personal experience. I just saw someone, you know, say, "Do I belong here because I'm mixed?" So that's another thing where, you know, even if you're of mixed race, just be proud of your blackness. Don't let anybody tell you you're not black enough, or you're too this or you're too that. Obviously, it's up to the person, you know, because a lot of mixed race people, they have to relate to a certain race. Some of them relate to one race rather than the other. But if you're comfortable with saying that you're black, or you want to be part of a black movement or a black group or anything like that, don't let anybody tell you you're not black enough. That's just one, you know, just one of the things I wanted to say because you brought that up.
Ricky, I totally agree with you. To be a mixed kid myself, it's like I can totally relate with you. It's probably most of the kids you go through that discovery phase, like who you are.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what you are, it's you, and you have the blessing to be part of two race. So why to reject one of the two? Embrace both of them. So that make a huge difference. And sometimes it can be a disadvantage, and sometimes it can be an advantage, because you're not also afraid. It's like when I talk with my dad that came from Haiti, they always have that complex toward the white people, where I don't have that complex. And even a lot of kids that, even if they're black kids, they are born here, they don't have that complex, because they went to school with white kid, they went to school with hijab kid, hijab girls, they went to school with different diverse cultures, so they are comfortable with all that, and they own it, who they are.
Yeah.
I love that, and I think I'm really glad you guys brought that up, because I think another factor, as we're talking in the context of Black people, is that what we're seeing on the screen right now, that's not all shades of Black. There are Black people who do not, quote unquote, look well, whose skin color is not within the generic description of a Black person, right? And then people like that might, you know, people might be like, wait, what's he doing here? What's she doing here? Huh? But like, we need to not forget that not everybody Black looks, quote unquote, Black, you know? And I'll give you an example. One of my really close friends owns an amazing restaurant in Montreal called Virunga. It's like an African restaurant. And I say African because they literally make plates and dishes from all across the continent. My favorite restaurant, amazing. And she is, she considers and she refers to herself as Black. Her mother is mixed race, Black, from Congo, and from, oh my gosh, how am I forgetting right now? From Congo and Portugal. Her dad is racially Indian, but from an Indian family that has been in Africa longer than a lot of Black African people, and she is Black, she feels Black, but then you'll come to her restaurant and she serves. First, a lot of people don't know it's her restaurant because she's the one who's serving them, and they're like, but you're not Black. So it's kind of like, what do we define as Black, especially if we go by the American one dot, what am I saying, the one drop rule?
One drop,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're going by one drop. One
You're
drop of Black.
1/8.
So
When you're
yeah, go ahead.
1/8 yeah, when you have 1/8 of Blackness in you, you're considered Black. That's the one drop rule.
So you can have 1/8 and you don't quote unquote look Black, but you are Black. So it's complicated to sometimes. This could be a whole discussion on its own. But I think it's really important to, what you guys said is that you are your identity. And I was actually talking to a friend the other day, and he said something really interesting. He was saying that your biggest asset as a human being is your identity and who you are, because you are unique and nobody else is like you. So to be in a position where you're writing your CV, which is a description of you, is literally it's your like advertising board, and not be free to put that is a shame. The reality is maybe some organizations don't want that and don't want you because you do that, but do you want to be there? That's a conversation you need to have with yourself. So I think it's really great to discuss that. I have two last questions. I'll actually go with this one first, and I'll end with my other one. There's actually one directed at you, Joey. So somebody in the audience would like to know if you have any links with other maybe engineering groups, or maybe different Black engineering groups, or anything like that that you have worked with, maybe at McGill or outside of McGill.
Sorry, if there's any Black specific ones or just in general?
Either or, just more engineering related.
Yeah, so engineering related a bunch. So I worked with, like I said before, Lobbies Quebec. So that essentially works through the entire network of engineers within Quebec. I worked a lot in terms of links with both the engineering department at McGill, ETS, and Polytechnique. At some point, we had put in place a society of undergraduate engineers to kind of look at green tech and green energy amongst those three different universities. So I think, like most things, whether it's a team sport or engineering or whatever, I think it very often creates these communities. And within those, there's like 1,000 different opportunities and things like that. And I've been fortunate enough to have been pulled in different directions by people to be involved in different things. But yeah.
Okay, and actually at the end of this, to all the panelists, could you send us all of the organizations that you have mentioned that you are a part of? That way we can send it over to all of the attendees, and then they can have some, vetted organizations that you guys have worked with in the past. I think that would be great. So my last question for you guys is, we're obviously in a very particular time right now with COVID being here and very real. And obviously, we all know what happened this summer, which I think woke a lot of people up from a deep sleep. I say very deep because how you couldn't see all of this was happening blows my mind, but they're awake now. So my question to you is, how do you feel we as a people can leverage this for long-term sustainable good for our people? Big one. Now, I know I'm throwing you in. It's just a little lead. Joey and Dawn, I think you guys specifically said that your initiative for the Black executives came out of this. So how do you see what you guys have put together actually having a sustainable long-term future, and why do you think it's important to put it together?
I think we're not here to convince anybody that they need to hire more Blacks. I don't have enough energy for that, but I do want to talk to the people that say, do I need to have more Blacks? I notice I don't have enough people on my board. Because let's face it, let's not put our energy in the people that really have no interest whatsoever. Let's put our energy in those companies that say, do I have a problem? Let me look at it. Or I think I have a problem. So we want to work with those kinds of companies, and we want to help other young Blacks move up and help them avoid some of the minefields that we had coming up. I'm older than Joey, so I'm a little bit more experienced with that, but that's, so we want to make sure that people understand that they have to go out and actively look for more Black potential leaders for their companies.
Yeah.
So it's not just talking about it. It's really doing something, helping them find those people and hire those people.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, I think the other thing too, and this being more of a long-term change thing, is unfortunately a lot of the reasons that we need a lot of these organizations is because there are problems of lack of representation, of lack of diversity, and all these things. If those things weren't there, we wouldn't need to be pushing these things. So I think as these things get pushed, as people start taking on these seats, younger kids, kind of like we were talking about before, are able to see themselves. So you know, if you go back, and this isn't lost on me, if you go back 15 years and you're looking for representation in commercial real estate in Montreal as a Black person, there were 2 people. You know, if you look today, we're 4. So I mean, that's not a big number, but it's doubled. And by doing that, by being present, by taking a part in this, while someone else can say, hey, I didn't even know this was a career that existed. I didn't even know this was something there. So as we start placing people, and with our initiative, I think that's the goal. As people start getting placed, it's not just you place someone and it's over. It creates a pipeline. You have someone that gets placed. You have a mentor that's helped them get there. You have a mentee that's below that then wants to go forward. That person gets placed. They can then become a mentor. And we create this kind of sustainable growth of people naturally placing themselves. And the reality is, it's not about finding a place for someone and saying, hey, we're just going to put you there. It's about creating the opportunities that naturally happen in other communities that our community, unfortunately, has not had. Like, when I go to a lot of meetings, everybody's dad played golf at the same golf course together. They all skied together in the winter. They all had these things. So it's not because they don't want to have people around, they just don't know those people. So as you place more people, as you have more representation, as you have more diversity, the pool from which people are coming from and the opportunities that exist grow significantly. When you asked me when I was young, what did I want to be when I grow up? Like every Black family, you had, you know, lawyer, doctor, engineer. I end up being an engineer. I don't work in engineering. But the job that I have now, I would have never known existed back when I was young. And I love what I do. But now I'm able to share my passion for that job because I've gone through it because of where I am. And when I go back and talk to the McGill Real Estate Club or something else, you know, maybe there's a young Black kid there, or a young Latino kid, or a young Asian kid, or whatever. They say, oh, wow, it's not just something that's unobtainium. It's an opportunity for me too.
Yeah.
And I think that's what all of these, the moment of reckoning that we have right now and the opportunity that we have right now is, like I said before, the door is open. That doesn't mean that everybody wants to listen. That doesn't mean that everybody has the same opinion. I think we also know the particular case in Quebec with the government that we have. It's not the same discussion everywhere. However, I think there is a discussion and there is a space and there is an opportunity for our voices to be heard. And that, kind of like Yendris was talking about before, his family getting, you know, into the political sphere and trying to create representation there, well, that continues to trickle down over generations. And we're just catching up on the trickle down that other communities have had for centuries, that we haven't had that same luxury. So as we do that, it'll just keep getting better and better.
I love that. I think that's great. Yendrich, you have anything you want to add in particular to this topic, or Rike?
I I think Joey said a great word, the opportunity. And a lot of people, it's not the lack of competence, it's not the lack of will, it's just a question to have the opportunity. And when they have it, they will deliver. And as Black people, we should not be afraid to give us our standards so high that we need to find the perfect Black candidate to bring in it. We should not be shy to take, you know what, let's give that Black person the opportunity to hire. And that is where that you make the difference. And he's really going back to do a lot of organic grow all together, like a community coming to the base. So like say like Don and Joy, they put together and then say we need to have more Black people representation in higher position. That is very important. And we need different group, and then they need to talk together and then to work together. It's like at Bell, when we start, we spend, I remember it was 2018, me and 3 other colleagues, we sit together and we start to talk. What's nice to have a Black History Month event organized by Bell, but we have the women at Bell, we have the LGBTQ at Bell. Why we don't have anything for the Black? So we start to say, you know what, let's organize together. And then each one of us start to pull people from their network, other Black people that they know. And that is where that we make our organic grow. So then we had that is where that chance to meet Joby also. So that is where that you meet all those different people, and then we meet together, and then we say what we want to do. It's like, it's not somebody that asks us to do that. We want to organize together where we want to have an impact. So we create our own mission, we create our own goal, and then we share that goal with the organization. And the organization say, okay, we're going to support you. Then you have the budget, you have the sponsorship by the senior management. Then lately this year, we had the CEO that have a special meeting with the Black folks to talk about the situation and what they expect to have. So we get the seat of the table. So when there's something happen, we were already there. It's not like, okay, I see other company that they scramble to, oh, we need to create that from what happened, unfortunately, to George Floyd. But we were already there, so ready. So then when they come, we already organized. That's what we want, and that's what we make the difference. So, for example, before the end of the year, we have a lot of great Black manager that they work in HR. So what they do, they're teaching the Black people how to prepare their at the year-end review, because a lot they don't necessarily know how to do that. So then they teach them to do that. So that is one way to give back. We had the Black Month of History. We had a session with financial guide that was explaining how that you can maximize the different thing that the company offer you for your retirement. So it's all those different things that you need to give back to organization, to the society. We had one of the event, and that was a great event. We have kids. We have a teenager from Toronto, and then we had in Montreal, and then they share their experience, and you see how much they work, how much that they involve, how much that they engage. So, and they engage at a much younger age than previous generation they were engaged. We were very self about ourselves, that say, I can make sure that I make it. But usually when you make it, you need a group. You never make it alone. It's like, I always remember the book by Malcolm Gladwell, Outlier, and then he give the example, for example, of Bill Gates, all the different people, how they made it. And it's a question of opportunity. And going back to Joey, it's like the key point is like you want to give the opportunity, and that you're gonna get opportunity and you give opportunity. And it goes like that. And that is where that we grow.
Yeah.
I love it. Ricky, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I love what Yenrik just said. Is you never make it alone, and if you think of, if you approach everything that you do from the mindset of community, you will obviously, like, you will give and you get a lot. and your voice, your influence. Use your influence, use your voice. You may not think that you have influence, you may not think that you have a voice, but we have such a power, so much power with just our voice alone. I know, we tend to think that, okay, let's, I'm gonna hashtag this and hashtag that and think that's where it ends, or I'm gonna go on this demonstration and think that's the beginning of the end. That's only the beginning. That's there's so much work after that happens, that needs to happen after that. I can remember, with the everything that was going on last summer, and I was wondering, how can I help? How can I help? And I was thinking of the organizations that I was tied to, and I thought of Steinway. I'm a Steinway artist. I'm endorsed by Steinway and Sons Pianos, and I was like, well, let me reach out to them. And I came up with a plan, and my plan was basically, you guys have pianos. There's a whole bunch of schools, marginalized neighborhoods, where these Black kids don't have instruments. They don't have access to pianos. So one of the action plans that I told them was to donate, some upright pianos to these schools, to these neighborhoods, to these rec centers, churches, where if that instrument is there, then number one, the kid will be able to start, playing, even if they don't know how to play, but they will be attracted to the instrument, and that would allow maybe someone in the neighborhood who actually knows how to play piano and start giving piano lessons to maybe like 10 different kids in the neighborhood, simply because you put that one piano in that rec center. So to go back, to answer your question in terms of sustainability, like, we really have to be in a mindset of infiltrating these companies, and not just looking from outside in, but looking from inside out, trying to really like be part of the people who are making the decisions. Like, if you're looking at the board and there's not one Black person, and they're talking about, diversity, inclusion, and equity, and there's not one Black person in there, or person of color, there's obviously a problem. You know what I'm saying? So we really have to look at if we really want to take advantage of this moment, and not make it, just a flash in the pan moment, because that was my concern. Is, okay, what happens after George Floyd? Is everyone going to forget about everything, that we just went through once things open up after this pandemic, and everyone's going to be, hunky dory, and nothing happened, and we're going to waste this opportunity? No. So let's take advantage of this moment to really, really take action, and like I said, infiltrate these companies, infiltrate these boardrooms, and really let them know, like, start making demands. I know for some people it may be more of a fragile situation, because they don't want to lose their job, or they don't want to seem too, like you say, Wakanda forever. You want to walk in with the dashiki. It's not even about that. It's understanding their position, and making them understand your position, understanding that they don't want to come out as being opportunists at the same time, and just working together, but just still using your influence and your voice. You never know what can come out of it.
I absolutely love that, and I totally agree. We do unfortunately have to bring the discussion to an end. I just have a few remarks, kind of like to conclude the evening, or to kind of like discuss different aspects that were brought. I think the key takeaway is just do it, because no skill is too small. And we're in a position where we can be the change we want to be. This year has been one that's definitely going to go in the history books. And this is a time for us to, like Ricky said, infiltrate and make these organizations accountable, because they cannot go and say, I want to do this, I want to do that, and not act on it and get away with it so easily as they have in the past. So I think if you want to see something, a change, you can be that change, whether you do that yourself or you go to organizations, you knock at the door and you make them accountable. Ricky said something also that was, or I think somebody excellent on this panel said that we need to use our voices because we have one, and we should not think that because you just graduate and have an undergrad or have a career of this years or work for this or do that, or nobody is too small. If a little girl from Pakistan who had to do whatever she had to do to get an education was able to win a Nobel Prize,
Right.
we can have an impact. We just need to get up and do it. And like Rike said as well, it's 2021. We all have access to the internet, Google University, YouTube University. There's no way to not find something to be a part of or how to build what you want to be a part of. Because if it doesn't exist, build it, right? It's like, get a seat at the table or make that table. So I think the conclusion really is that we need to be involved civically because we have the opportunity to help others and to also help ourselves progress, gain humility, gain exposures, and just make our life a lot better. And there really is no excuse. On that note, do any of the panelists have anything else they'd like to say before I hand it over to Joanne? No? Okay.
I think just thank you
Right.
for organizing this.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you for organizing this and kind of giving the opportunity to have this discussion. It's a very important and good one to have.
Thank you. And just before you start, I just want to say a little, once again, the mentorship program that we discussed exists, and there's going to be another round very, very soon. So please look into that. And I also do know that the McGill Black Alumni Association is looking for new people to join the team. So please join and figure and, see what you can do if you want to get involved with us.
So, I love that comment, Christelle. Ask what you can do. That's what JFK said back in the days. And recently, I got the feedback, well, Johan, you're underselling yourself. And I think that, we don't have to wait for, to get wiser. We don't have to wait to have gray hair. We can do something right here and right now, like Joy said. So thank you so much again, everyone. Don, Christelle, Joy, and Yendrich, and Ricky. Far from the eyes, but close to the heart. So thank you so much again, and please stay tuned for future events, and we'll leave you guys for dinner.